Here we are on the Washougal River following a demo ride, the 2016 KTM SX lineup. Great day for practicing at Washougal, and very big thank you to Motorsport Hillsboro, specifically Monty McGrath, for having us come out and swing a leg over these bikes.
2016 KTM 125 SX. It was a whole bunch of fun to ride, the smoothest power delivery for me of the two strokes that I rode, and was just very forgiving to ride. I had a lot of fun with it, and it would probably be my choice for a bike to purchase if I was going to be ready anytime soon.
I don't typically like 125s, especially on a track. As a whole, it's probably the most fun bike to ride today. Good brakes, good, stable, predictable handling characteristics, and clutch that just was there when you needed it. Good power, better than I was expecting, and solid choice for anyone who's looking into the 125 market or just out to have fun.
They had upped the horsepower to 40 horsepower on the 125 this year, and it showed. Really pulled the hills of Washougal just fine. There's a big road step up jump that I actually overshot on the 125, thinking that I'd need to be pushing a lot harder than I actually did. KTM 150. I had a lot of fun on the 150 also. I was actually out there with a friend on the 125 at the same time, and I waited for him, and we had a pretty good battle going on. So I didn't get to evaluate the bike as much as I would have liked, but it worked well. The power delivery is a little bit more abrupt than the 125. You got to really be paying attention on the 150 compared to the 125. So for me, it's, it handles great. Engine's good, but not as good as the 125 for my riding style.
My opinion, a different bike to ride definitely than the 125. The 150 is a little bit more complicated, or there's a little bit more work to find the power that you need. There's definitely more there than the 125. It still feels good, but once you fall off, there's definitely more of a traditional power band. And so if you find yourself out of that range, then it's not quite sweet. But honestly, I think that if you had a little bit more time and it became your bike, I don't think that would be an issue.
More than 2 laps would be an issue. 252 stroke. I didn't really ride the 252 stroke. I'm not a huge fan, and it was the end of the day and I was tired. I know that I'm not going to come away from that bike loving it, so I opted out. Ben will have to take the reins on that one.
Yes, the SX 250 was the first bike I rode today, and it's a hard bike to ride. There's definitely a type of rider who can use its power to your advantage, but the hit it's legit, and you have to be ready for it. I'm not a great moto guy by any means, and there were times where the 250 was kind of scary. So if you enjoy that kind of fear or have that kind of experience with that kind of hit, that's your bike. It's harsh. I think more than any bike today, that was the one they drug off to get the new pipe or twist the bars back in place. It's a handful, and I think people know. But definitely there's a market for people who like big power, serious hits.
2 out of the 3 bikes were pushed off. At the end of the day, I think there was one, and they'd fixed the second one, so only 2 bikes left.
The 4-stroke lineup, the 250
SXF was probably my favorite. It was my favorite 4-stroke, and if I were going to choose a bike to just do racing only, it would be the 250 SXF. It was a fantastic chassis. The motor was so smooth. Again, I was over jumping stuff on that 250F that I was not having the same issue with on the 450 or the 350. There's a nice big road jump up there that everybody's seen at Washougal, and I was able to, clear the whole thing, not just land on top of it on the 250F. It pulled out of corners without bucking or hopping or stepping side to side, and it was a lot of fun to ride. I really came off that bike smiling.
And I unfortunately did not get the time to ride it. Bummer.
Yeah.
The 350, we both had a chance to ride that.
For me, the 350 was good. It was the first bike of the day that I had rode, so 2 laps on a track that I really hadn't spent much time on. Didn't have a lot of time to learn. It was good. Power smooth, keeps on pulling to the moon. I was really surprised at how high the thing would rev and still stay pulling. So it was a good bike. Not great for me.
It was the last bike that I rode during the day. Very beat up track by this point. Very smooth linear power. You could stay in a gear and just carry it. There was no, it didn't sign off until you're way up in the RPM. I probably like that motor the most of the 4-strokes, the 2 that I tested, but great motor and stable feeling pretty much anywhere. I think the maybe one of the weaknesses was when you kind of came into the chop, the back end seemed to dance around a little bit. So I think of all the bikes that I rode, that one's the one that probably could use a decent tuner to get to the place that you want to get, because everyone rides differently.
All the bikes we rode today were not set up for us. They're going stock off the showroom floor, and we just got to hammer on them. It was a good time. 2016 450 SX. For me, it was the second bike I rode after the 350. The power is nice and smooth, but man, there's a lot of it. And I was most impressed with the handling and the ability to carve an inside line on the big bike like that. Just keep it low in the RPM range, and it would just tractor out of the corners and go. For me, it's a lot more bike than I could ever use, or I'm man enough to ride on a regular basis. Not my favorite bike of the day. I like the small bore bikes though.
I frequently ride 450s, and this one had no real hard hit. I think it was pretty consistent throughout. A good feel, easy to turn. I thought it was, the fork was a little mysterious, and that's where I think the tuner might come in hand. But the power was smooth. Yeah, you can jump anything, and it's easy and effortless. But I don't think the bike was a lot to work, and it turns really well for a 450.
That was the other thing I noticed. I think I mentioned it in my helmet cam videos a couple times, that you come out of a corner and you could mess up the corner and still just kind of right over any of the big jumps. And I'm not a motocross guy, so it almost made that stuff too easy, where I could see people jumping stuff they wouldn't ordinarily feel comfortable jumping because they had that power at their disposal.